is the best money can buy. You use the promo code Crowder for 10% off.
To every citizen who's sick and tired of the parasitic political class in Washington that sucks our country of its blood and treasure.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
November 5th will be your Liberation Day. November 5th this year will be the most important day in the history of our country, because we're not going to have a country anymore if we don't win.
Between now and election, it's a sprint. It's a sprint for the spirit of this country and your ability to choose what you watch, who you support, and the mere ability to speak. The left is constantly engaged in foul play, but their first choice would be to not have to cheat, right? To do it with lies by omission, by using media bias, by throttling searches, right? By flat out censoring searches, as we've seen from Google and YouTube, as we've seen with Facebook and Meta in the past. It's lie, 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 cheat.
And that is pretty much the far left right there. This is the home of Real Talk with Don Roberson, coming to you live from inside the camp. Here, viewer discretion is advised. Explicit language is imminent. Those who cannot handle the language, please do not continue watching. But if you want to hear real conversation, real discussion, and real topics, then welcome to the show. Today, we are going to go over Kamala Harris's CNN town hall. And we're going to give you live fact checks, live truths, false, and unfortunately, it's going to be more false. That's pretty much the gist of the Kamala Harris campaign. So, we're going to do it live,
Donald Trump,
along with my brand new friends here over at the Louder with Crowder team. You can go to mugclubarmy.com right now and apply to help out, as this is the fight for our country. And somebody's got to stand up. And I'm not saying to go and violence and all that crap. No. I'm saying you need to be watch what goes on around you. Because the Democrats and the far left are going to try to do everything they can. Because right now, if you go to Poly Market right here, we'll show you right here for the 2024 presidential election. And it loads up. Current market right now has Donald Trump 64.3% and heckling Kamala down to 35.7%. This Poly Market is the most up-to-date current poll right now as we get into November 5th. That's including early polls, early voting. PA, if you have a question about your state, please comment below what state you'd like to find out about. Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period, and today we are talking about Medicare. I'll start it off. For the state of Pennsylvania, you are turning red. For everybody in Pennsylvania, we all go, woo!
Yeah, baby.
For the state of Nevada, you are red. Alaska, red. West Virginia, red. Ohio, red. Indianapolis, red. Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, you are now on team red. If you have any questions about states here as we look at the polls here, swing states, Trump is winning. Popular vote, of course, the popular vote winner is going to be Kamala Harris, because that's going to be the unfortunate downside of the far left and the liberals, including some of the liberals here on TikTok and some of the liberals are on Twitter Facebook. But here at Real Talk Studios, we are going to give you the most up-to-date alongside our friends over at Louder Crowder team. We are going to give you guys the up-to-date polls, up-to-date knowledge as it happens, boots on the ground. We are going to be there to give you up-to-date because you need to be up-to-date. And why do we need to be up-to-date?
Because they'll sneak up
And
butts and steal it.
thank you. Now that's the sound of the legendary, the one and only, unfiltered, uncensored, unpolitically correct, real Kathy Robeson.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Are you doing your research? You better be out there checking your people out, not just president, vice president, your local people too, because there's just as many buttholes out there that you can shake a stick at.
We have our first caller. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a telemarketer.
Hello?
Hi, good morning, Bill. Vice President Kamala Harris is
Now they're saying right now, Polymark is also saying a 47% Republican sweep as a balance of power. How do you feel about that? A 47% red wave over a 12% Democratic sweep.
The only thing that they could score her higher on is her opinion on abortion.
You only have
Which is a laugh because everything that they're saying when it comes to
Now, right now,
Harris says
Fox
Trump-
News is doing the CNN town hall that happened on Wednesday. We're going to do that right live today. We're going to roast her ass live here.
Well, she misquoted Trump. And that's what they've been standing on when it comes to their polls and everything, and that's why Trump is showing lower in the scoring when it comes to
Only
abortion.
one topic, though.
Yeah, but they misquoted him.
Yeah.
The opinion he has on abortion is not what they're publicly putting out there.
Hawaii,
It's
unfortunately,
not
is
what
blue.
they have.
Hawaii is unfortunately blue.
There's
What?
always hope that they get smarter.
I mean, we still have 11 days left.
Yes,
We still have 11 days.
You gotta check and see.
This is just counting the early ballot voting.
Yeah, before you click that ballot and vote, make sure you're 100% sure that that person represents your thoughts and your feelings as to how you want this country run.
Well, not only that, think of a week from now. Think of a month from now. Think of a year from now. Can you say for a fact that the candidate that you are being fed is good enough for you? Can you, if you have a family, can you back your family on that candidate? Can you make sure that a year from now you can support your family?
Can you believe what they say they're going to do?
And trust them.
Actually, what they're going to do.
Right there. Trust. Trust is the key here in this election. Do you trust somebody who in 4 years have not done anything?
The Wall Street Journal has it with Trump a little bit ahead, and so did a Fox News.
You have to ask yourself that.
Margin of error. This is tied.
So, without further ado, let's check in with the boys over at Louder Crowder team as we find out exactly how bad Kamala Harris really is.
He will be a dictator on day one.
Nazi imagery. Adolf Hitler.
As
Hopefully, with this crap is done and over with, we don't have to worry about this hateful rhetoric that they put out that ended up with 3 assassination attempts in our generation. The last time assassination attempt was done was when?
You're asking me to open the
Comment below if you remember the last time somebody tried to unalive a government official.
the Kennedys.
And how long has that been? That's been the 70s. We've went over almost 2 decades without something like that.
This kind of stuff is not supposed to happen.
So hopefully,
It shows the downfall of our FBI,
CIA, just say our intelligence agency.
the federal government is not able to protect the president or past presidents like they were supposed to.
I'll say a quote that I've seen in a movie. The movie's Red. John Malkovich and Helen Mirren said in that one scene, man, I used to remember Secret Service being tougher.
And you were a co-author on a
There's
piece
been a lot
where you
of
had
changes.
dozens of sources
But
telling you that Joe
anyway,
Biden had
I
lost
mean,
his
right now,
Hopefully this crap is done and over with. We don't have to worry about within the next election or the next 5 years or 6 years, or we don't ever have to worry about this ever happening again. That's one thing I hope for.
the president's going to have a heck of a thing
When did you
to
notice
stand on, and a lot of changes that have to
what
be
was it like
made
when you saw it? And
during
she has
the,
declined to say, she's basically saying
next
that it
couple
was
of
a
years
fluke.
here
She had never seen
until
it before.
another
If you
is
think that
elected.
under
4 years.
possible,
So I mean, it's
I mean, I've been really surprised.
So then there's the main question, everybody. Can you trust in somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who doesn't?
I personally do not trust anybody that lied for 4 years saying that their boss was okay mentally and physically when they knew that they weren't, and that they just basically had people working behind the scenes doing his job. There's no way he could have functioned through this whole time. He can't even barely function now. And we're supposed to believe that this woman's going to stand there who sat and said, oh no, the border is safe, the border is controlled.
And now you're up to almost 13 million people coming across.
Oh yeah, it's safe and controlled, all right. She didn't even know where the hell it was at there for a while.
13 million.
I can't put my trust and my belief, and that's just my opinion, my Republican feeling.
Well, it's not just it's not just Republican feeling. It's the fact that it's a safety.
I say Republican because of the fact I'm embarrassed that there have been some Republicans that have crossed the line and are now trying to take and support this woman. She does not even come close to following any kind of policies that the Republican Party has put out there as to what we feel is important for the safe running of this country.
If you agree with that, please subscribe
She's made errors
and like.
right and left, and she doesn't have the intelligence or the wherewithal. Let's just say frankly, she doesn't have the balls to stand behind what these people are telling her to say out on her little prompter. Okay? She doesn't know how to fix this stuff. I want somebody in office that has a strong financial background,
It's hot
that
in here.
knows how to tweak and twit and twerk and
That's one reason
whatever
I
it's
don't have
gonna
this.
take
And plus, just get back to the gym.
to take and change this stuff so that it can. He's got 4 years to fix it. Okay, we need to let him loose, let him do what he's got to do, and get us back on track. Because once he's gone and we can't elect him in anymore, we're gonna have to depend on finding somebody that can. And I hope his vice president stands up a little bit and learns good lessons from Donald Trump so that he might be able to take and step in his shoes after it's over with. Because seriously, it's going to take the Republicans running this country for the next 3 presidential campaigns. And that's me estimating just from the way things are. The next 3 presidents got to be Republican, and we've got to keep the swamp out of Congress and Senate so that the votes can be made and the Republican Party can do the nasty things that we're going to have to do to clean up the mess that the Democrats and Pelosi have put into office. They've shit on this whole country,
As I was saying,
so they have the power. They don't care about what happens to the country. They just want the power to be able to drive the jets, get the money, and run.
All right, let's get back to let's see what they have to say here.
And that's why we are gearing up for the election live stream of the century. November 5th, we'll have the live electoral
Yes, stay
integrity
tuned
map.
with
No
us.
one will have
We're
the data
live
that we have on that night.
simultaneously.
Call dispute states
Yeah.
and let you know everything that is going on across this country. If there is any foul play whatsoever,
Gotcha.
there's no reason to tune in anywhere else that night. The election live stream of the century.
November 5th this year will be the most important day in the history of our country.
That's
and
what
we
says
will
tomorrow's
make
gonna win.
America great again.
Okay.
The election live stream of the
Okay.
century, November 5th,
I'm not
2024.
gonna lie
Be
to
there
you
with
when I
us.
tell you the poll.
Fight like hell.
I'll come back line to you over here on Real Talks with Don Wilson. If you're on the account, like, favorite, like, your favorite, and get ready for the rest of the show.
All right, I have to get to it quickly because we had a lot for today's show. Those of you who know, gearing up for the election, we actually have data analysts and access to some data that most people do not. So we're looking at we have an entire show on early voting in Donald Trump's base, but we're actually going to be doing that tomorrow, and it'll be here on Rumble and YouTube. Usually it's just Mug Club on Friday, but we think it's too important, and we couldn't fit it in today because I watched the entire Kamala Harris town hall last night, and so it turned into a concept, just the official Kamala Harris roast. So we'll talk about that. Another fake Trump story about him groping somebody that never happened. And in a shocking turn of events, someone named Mia Khalifa really hates America. Shocker. It's because the Iron Sheik wasn't available. So if at some point today, I guarantee you will see this on YouTube, head on over to Rumble. It's a live show, weekdays, 10 a.m. We do this without a net. Tell me, what was your favorite Kamala moment last night at the town hall in her doom loop of having to speak to help her polls, but realizing she can't speak? It was really, really bad. And we'll check in with Polymarket. Number 2, Captain Morgan, CEO.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
I just assumed your question was going to be how are you doing. I shouldn't assume.
Well, I'm tired because I had that update of Doom on my smart TV last night. So
And how is your Friday going, other than all that we were just talking about?
I'm anxious to get this all over with.
like, you know what? I'm going to drive to the office because I know I can watch it there. And then my television in my office didn't work.
Because you never turn it on.
So I ended up watching it on my phone in my zero gravity chair, then fell asleep in that.
Oh, boy.
And then went home after I woke up.
You had a rough night.
Yes. And then this morning.
Then the train
this morning. I was 3 blocks away in the train. So, you know, it's way worse. Well, hold on a second. Let me just. Nick DiPaolo is here. Funniest Man Alive Saturday, November 9th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa, Iowa. NickDip.com. Going to be here election night or days. And you can watch it at 5 p.m. Eastern. How are you, sir?
I'm looking at some timeshare here in Plano.
Yes, very
I got a
nice.
feeling we're not going to know who wins this thing till fucking.
Well,
June.
we won't. At least in Michigan and Arizona.
Already.
and Pennsylvania.
Can I ask you a question? Has that ever happened before where they said we're not going to know 12 days for at least 12? Have they,
A part of me thinks
don't
that
they
it's
usually just kind of just do it and go, we're not ready yet?
I think it might be a power flex, like when Hitler, used to have people go like, "Oh, it's all lost. Don't even try to fight." I think they're saying like, "Yeah, we're gonna steal it. We know you know that we're gonna steal it. We know you know we know we're gonna steal it. So we're gonna let you know 10 days before we get the results. What are you gonna do?"
I have an idea. Fuck the election. Let's get out in the streets.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
We don't want a James Carville.
What did I say wrong there?
No,
What
he
a
said in the
fucking
streets.
faggy show this is
He
turning.
said into the streets. He wasn't James Carville saying, "We gotta get to the street right now and have an armed insurrection, and we're gonna be in the back of a cop car." Something like that.
Find
Someone
that
can
clip,
let's,
yeah.
let's
Sound
find
like
that clip
Obama.
from Mug Club.
Doing helium.
Chris Tucker
Yeah.
version of
It's
James
I'm talking about an armed revolution, man. All right. So before we get to does everyone here agree
Yes,
that,
I do.
as a grown man, you can control your bowels? But if you are in a scenario where you are near a bathroom, like for example, you're getting close to your house,
Yes.
mentally prepare. So I had
You're like, all
my
right.
coffee in the car and I was only a couple of blocks from the office.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, good. And then the trains.
My God.
All right, it gets worse. It gets worse because then
An officer in the Aurora gang unit says that an ICE agent passed along intelligence stating, quote, TDA, Tren Via Lago, has decided to make Denver their headquarters. The information came from one agent, not Federal Immigration Authority.
I think you bring a lot of good quality.
Amazon hates this, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's a new electric lighter out there, and it's got the firepower of a military-grade.
And could win me the most important swing state.
Yes.
Too many vowels in your last name.
Look, I'm a big fan of wholesale as much as anybody. But, I can't be seen with a Jew. I mean, I was dating this guy, Arafat's fucking nephew.
Oh my God.
All right, it gets worse. It gets worse because then
They want to help. They want to police. They want to help.
And here is a little technical difficulty. Staying with us.
well, she did between takes. A gaffer walked up.
Leadership, or in city management at this point that has hogtied them.
Muhammad.
Get your little brainos.
Dozens and dozens of the city issued a statement yesterday
Higher.
confirming the validity
There we go.
of the emails.
Now we're back.
Whether or not the emails were valid.
12 days for at least 12. Have they,
A part of me thinks
don't
that
they
it's
usually just kind of just do it and go, we're not ready yet?
I think it might be a power flex, like when Hitler, used to have people go like, "Oh, it's all lost. Don't even try to fight." I think they're saying like, "Yeah, we're gonna steal it. We know you know that we're gonna steal it. We know you know we know we're gonna steal it. So we're gonna let you know 10 days before we get the results. What are you gonna do?"
I have an idea. Fuck the election. Let's get out in the streets.
Okay. Come on.
I would agree. You put the two candidates in, no matter who they are, put them in a ring, lock them, put a cage around, just let them beat the crap out of each other. Winner gets the job.
I never in a million years saw it going this way.
I'd pay to see the tickets of that one. I would have paid to see the tickets seeing Joe Biden versus Donald Trump in a fist fight. Winner gets the job. Or a wrestling match. You know, Donald Trump's had more time in a wrestling match than Joe Biden has brain cells.
Oh, come on.
We don't want a James Carville.
What did I say wrong there?
No,
What
he
a
said in the
fucking
streets.
faggy show this is
He
turning.
said into the streets. He wasn't James Carville saying, "We gotta get to the street right now and have an armed insurrection, and we're gonna be in the back of a cop car." Something like that.
Find
Someone
that
can
clip,
let's,
yeah.
let's
Sound
find
like
that clip
Obama.
from Mug Club.
Doing helium.
Chris Tucker
Yeah.
version of
It's
James
I'm talking about an armed revolution, man. All right. So before we get to does everyone here agree
Yes,
that
I do.
as a grown man, you can control your bowels? But if you are in a scenario where you are near a bathroom, like for example, you're getting close to your house,
Yes.
mentally prepare. So I had
You're like, all
my
right.
coffee in the car, and I was only a couple of blocks from the office.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, good. And then the train stopped on the tracks, and I sat there for 30 minutes.
Ugh.
I don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be my house.
And I started bargaining with God. And
If I gotta go bad, I'll bust into a garage and fucking somebody's vet.
American one.
next to Biden's documents, those are classified. All right.
Oh, Mama son.
So we have it's just really going to be a roast of Kamala Harris town. It's a lot of fun. But first,
don't go too hard on her. I kind of like her.
Oh, she's incorrigible.
They're gonna turn that into a GIF.
I hope so. I'm lumping her armpit the size of 2 grapefruits.
Oh.
Kind of hard to miss.
Don't know if you know this. This woman hates America.
Yes.
Mia Khalifa.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Khalifa's daughter?
Good morning to everybody who is not in the U.S. military. Good morning to everybody who is sitting at home and not on soil that doesn't belong to them, fighting a war for a country that doesn't care about them. I hope you go over there.
But enough about
and
Muhammad.
Get your little brain all scrambled up with PTSD and then come back here and see how much the United States cares about you, Pookie. See how much they care about you when you come back with, oh, I'm so sad. I piss my pants every time I see a falafel stand in Manhattan. Let's see how much the VA cares about you. Let's see what they tell you to do with your little broken brain from going over to fight a war that's not yours. They're going to tell you to try breathing exercises because the U.S. government does
It's not a
give
porn director,
about
sweetheart.
You once you cannot die for them. Once you're done, once you're a shell, they don't care about you. What did I say on Freeway that one time? Yeah, I think that still stands.
So hold on a second here. This is why this is so off-putting, and you may not be able to quite put your finger on it.
Pudding.
It's a combination of the really annoying Western white girl voice, like, oh yeah, really hard for you. You have to work for 10 hours a day in the mines. Oh, where they do that.
Yeah,
but that combined with, and this is quite rare, a little bit of terrorism.
Yes.
Because you're not used to someone like you can never picture someone named Mia Khalifa and like, oh yeah, so what do you have to do your suicide vest? Like no talking because they beat them. So
you only use a dash of terrorism.
Yeah.
You can't use too much.
So she's adopted the worst of both cultures and rolled it all up into one. And of course, this is and I don't ask this without a hint of, she's a professional whore. And by that, I mean she has sex for money.
Yes, she does.
Well, I'm not going to hold that against her.
Well, no, I'll hold the terrorism against
Am
her.
I supposed to disagree with her message? Because some of it was kind of right, how we treat our veterans.
Some of it was kind of right. But when she's like, oh, and you get a PTSD with the falafel, it's like, well, I don't like you.
Let's just say she's not pro-veteran saying, hey, they're not going to take care of you, so don't do it. She's like, you're on foreign soil, you shouldn't be fighting wars. Just come home. Like,
oh, well, then her message was terrible.
I
Right
believe in
for
free
Kamala.
speech, but that pushes the limits for me.
But that's all I heard was.
Well, here at Real Talk Studios, we just got invited to the one and only Donald J. Trump's election night party. So we decided if we're able to make it to go there, we're going to be live at the election party.
But all I heard was that our veterans aren't treated very well.
Right. Yeah. And that would.
I guess I was staring to see if she had any tits. I couldn't find those either.
No, it's hard to stare past the Eugene Levy unibrow.
Yes, that thing was.
Oh my gosh!
I thought that was electrical tape.
Well, she did between takes. A gaffer walked up. I think that one's about done. Hey, by the way, speaking of freedom of speech, 1775 Coffee, we are powered by them. Not their fault that I almost soiled myself in the car this morning. 1775coffee.com/Crowder. Use the promo code credit for 10% off. It's all we use in this. It's great. It's a great company. I think, are they the official sponsor of Rumble?
I don't know, something in there.
I don't know, but it's great coffee. They fresh roast it, good company, and they're not one of those companies that take your money and then give it to Democrat candidates. So that's nice.
They don't like me either, I don't think. I'll ask them.
Before we get to the roast, another woman is, claiming something. Donald Trump sexually assaulted. Did you see this? Groped.
Yes.
This is the October surprise that isn't.
Oh, Jesus.
Late winter, early spring of '93.
Well, somebody fell off a cliff.
I was on a walk with
Called The
Jeffrey
Wall.
from his.
Somebody was walking
brownstone
you.
on the Upper East Side down Fifth Avenue. When Jeffrey looked at me and said, let's go stop by and see Trump. And so we went to Trump Tower and went up the elevator, and moments later, Trump was greeting us.
Ugly and boring.
He pulled me
Great
into him
Absolutely.
and started groping me.
But
He
she
put his
fixes it with these
hands
supercuts
all over
Farrah
my
Fawcett.
breasts,
Yeah, exactly. She goes in and asks for the Gene Simmons.
my waist, my butt.
Who's that? Is that her on the left?
That was
and I
her.
froze.
Well, then Trump should
And
have
I
ate her
froze
ass.
because I was so
Whoops.
deeply
Excuse me, YouTube.
confused about what was happening because the
If
hands
those
were
stills
moving all
weren't
over
there,
me.
no one would
Yet
watch
these
this.
two men were smiling
You know
at
what?
one
That is
another,
so true.
continuing on in their conversation.
How much you want to bet
Not long after
the
that,
video
a
thumbnail
postcard
includes one of the
of
left images?
Mar-a-Lago
It 100%
was
does.
couriered to my agent.
Look what happens to the
Oh my
woman.
gosh.
And
She was a piece of filet.
there was a personal message on the back from Donald Trump.
Said I smelled feet.
I still have that postcard. And
Oh, you still have it?
It
Oh,
makes
where
me
is it?
sick to look at it.
Why-
That is
why
why,
then? You have
I'm
it.
here tonight.
Ah.
I figured it was time to
Okay.
share this.
Mhm,
And I'm ready to win this election. That
Ah.
monster
And there
being
it
back
is.
in the White House is my absolute worst nightmare.
And now, and there it is. And now it's the broad, and now it's the boodle, and nothing is safe. Name that movie line. So let's walk through this. This woman
I'm out.
was raped three
Not raped,
decades
not
ago.
raped,
Sorry,
not
groped
raped,
three
groped.
decades ago. And
Groped by a dick.
only remembers this 31-year-old event less than 2 weeks before the election.
Yep.
And this is the woman with strong ties to Democrats, donated to the Obama 2008 campaign, worked for the environmental group that helped get Obama elected, called Clean Tech for Obama, and now says, we need to win this election. It almost seems like this would have come up before. And now there's also another one. They're saying there's a videotape of Donald Trump with groping a young girl at a fundraiser, but no video has been released. So,
Even with AI, they can't come up with shit.
right. So I think this is throw it in the don't care pile.
It's sort of a desperation pile.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry. 31 years later now, if he was a threat to democracy today, he probably was. I don't know, in 2016, also in 2020. Same thing with the general's comments the other day. He was a threat at the time. You didn't say anything there. Oh, by the way, you also didn't expose him and resign.
Right.
So, I mean, that would have been like the honorable thing to do. I'm going to take a stand against Hitler. Let's go.
You're not taking into account the disparity of power.
For a 4-star general?
I saw a guy blow her up online last night.
Oh.
He did the timeline.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy? She said 1990, whatever the hell.
3.
Yeah. And Epstein didn't even own his brownstone at that point.
Right.
The timeline was like, oh, but like 3 years.
Yes.
And I love the fact that she starts up like, me and Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Well, okay, now you're trying to pull the moral card?
Yeah.
You're fucking with a child rapist?
Yeah. Well, no, what you're failing to take into account is what does strengthen her testimony here is that one with one of these allegations does forego the legitimate publications to have it published in a gossip tabloid right before the election.
No,
so
well,
that
yes.
makes me, yeah.
Yes, that really is a blow to her
I
credit.
present that as Exhibit A in Believe All Women. So
I think Tim had the best point. If those stills weren't there, nobody was watching.
think about it. It's in the last 2 days. Trump said Hitler. Trump said effing Mexican. That one kind of went away. Now Trump groped this person. No, wait, Trump groped this person. Just get the one silver lining here is it's now just white noise. People don't care. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. So at least now we're getting a little bit past that where it's just believe everything you hear.
Yeah.
You'll have a certain subset of the population who will, but I think, are you buying it? You can comment below. I think most people now are like, you know what? I believe a lot of women, but I've also known some women like that.
Yeah. By the way, they overreached with the effing Mexican thing because when the sister comes out and says that didn't happen, when one of the witnesses in the room comes out, says that didn't happen.
I know.
There's like, oh, great. Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Trump Hitler thing would have been, by itself. But
Well,
then they do that. It's like, no, you've overreached again.
Is Trump might be the clean. Either he's got great lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
You could argue he's the cleanest guy ever to sit in the White House.
Put it this way. When she's Epstein and Trump, if there was anything tying Donald Trump to Epstein,
yeah, we would have known.
We would have absolutely known. Instead, like, oh, yeah, it seems like he used to go to Mar-a-Lago. And yeah, there's a police report. There's Donald Trump kicking him out and banning him from Mar-a-Lago the second he found out that the guy was a little bit creepy. You ever had someone who was a friend who then was no longer or an acquaintance? You're like, oh, I don't really like this guy on account of the fact that I know he locks up children in his basement. Whatever it is, whatever your situation may be. Point is, you no longer associate with that person.
Yeah.
The other people didn't, 26 or 28 flights to a private island. That is what some people would call a red flag. Let's move on here. Speaking of which, Kamala Harris gave a town hall at CNN last night. It did not go well. And it's, well, we'll get to everything. But this is the theme. I just wanted to put this together in a montage. How many times, of course, the temperature was toned down.
the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, who has told us, Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has said he is a fascist to the core. The commander-in-chief is saying to his generals, in essence, why can't you be more like Hitler's generals? Anderson, come on.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that Trump repeatedly praised Hitler. But there are tens of millions of Americans right now who have heard all those things, and they don't buy it, or even if they do, they're still going to vote for Donald Trump.
So that's the theme of the night. Hitler, 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 fascist. So, hey, everybody, load up your guns and shoot at him, and then dial down the temperature a little bit. Please.
We're back there already.
Yep. Already. We had 2 days after the second thing.
Rest of the night didn't go any better. So this brings us to the Kamala Harris roast.
I believe Donald Trump is a danger, like Hitler.
And there's not that much to like fact check because she repeated the exact same things again. So we'll just be incredibly childish and have fun with it. But we'll also fact check. She started warning us about the bleak future that we all face as Americans.
One has to think about, why would someone who served with him, who is not political, a 4-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now? And frankly, I think of it as he's just putting out a 911 call to the American people. Understand what could happen if Donald Trump were back in the White House.
Oh my God. You don't mean record unemployment? Average annual salary increase of $4,400 per year? Becoming a net energy exporter of oil? Let's move on to the other losers and suckers myth.
Not to mention what we know and what they've told us about how he talks about the military, servicemen and women, referring to them as suckers and losers.
No, he was talking about your internship. Next clip.
With Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was very high ranking, to them as suckers and losers.
No, he was talking about your internship. Next clip.
With Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was very high ranking Republican. She has endorsed me. Her father, the former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, is voting for me.
Hey, a war criminal. A presidential endorsement from Dick Cheney is like a Surgeon General endorsement from the Marlboro Man. I couldn't pick the Cheney family off a rooftop full of faggots.
Yummy.
Anything you guys want to?
I don't. We talked about this the other day. I don't understand how a Dick Cheney endorsement is now a positive thing for a Democrat.
I know.
How in the hell is a Dick Cheney endorsement a good thing? That's like saying, yeah, we're going to get an endorsement from Marilyn Manson. Yeah. Not really good.
There's more of a concerted effort.
How in the world is that even possible?
She said she's dated Strom Thurmond too in high school. Dirty hoe bag. What a goblin liar.
Robert Byrd. Robert Byrd.
Yeah.
He came out and he supported me, half of me.
Said, I'm voting for KK Kamala.
Yes.
Oh, well.
And
I love how she tries to rope Anderson in, by the way.
Yes.
Anderson, right?
Yeah. A part of me thinks when you watch this entire thing, they don't want her to win because you'll see the questions from the crowd. They got tougher on her. Like they actually had questions from the crowd that she would have to answer. Of course she didn't. But here she goes on to talk about, after Hitler, danger, something about unity here.
I believe the American people deserve better. And they deserve a president who is focused on solutions, not sitting in the Oval Office plotting their revenge and retribution.
Stop! My erection is now a liability. I thought I knew what arousal was before today, but I did not. Retribution and revenge? I'm going to have scars on my knuckles from too much.
And it's not like he's saying I'm just going to go after people randomly. He's going to say I'm draining the swamp. Essentially, I'm going after people who shouldn't be in this position anymore. Weaponize the DOJ. Yeah. Why is that wrong to go after people who are breaking the law and weaponizing government against its citizens? That's not a bad thing.
She's like, because that's me. Already. Biden's right. Biden would have been a better candidate.
Yes.
Even fucking brain dead.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely would have been a better candidate.
Brain dead.
Well, no, but that goes back to your point. So why is Anderson Cooper being harder on her? They weren't initially.
He doesn't like
women.
girls.
Yes.
He doesn't like snatcherini.
He would definitely not be harder on her then. I'm just saying.
Wow.
She reminds me of the girl in high school who made him realize he hates himself.
Yes, but I think it's become like Joe Biden. It has become undeniable that she cannot answer these questions. And they absolutely are at a point where they're like, look, we ran this for you for a while. We did like a month and a half of coverage.
Yeah.
Now it's just like Joe Biden. It was undeniable that he was falling apart. It's undeniable she's an idiot.
Think about that. That's the two best choices.
Yes.
A fucking brain dead and this fucking empty.
Well, either way, it's brain dead.
Oh my God. What does that say about the left? You got no bench.
They really don't. They really don't.
Nothing.
No,
you know why?
But he was a Jew and they couldn't appoint him.
They had one. They're like, look, I think you bring a lot of good qualities and could win me the most important swing state.
Yes.
Too many vowels in your last name.
Look, I'm a big fan of wholesale as much as anybody. But, I can't be seen with a Jew. I mean, I was dating this guy, Arafat's fucking nephew.
Oh my God!
All right, it gets worse. It gets worse because then they started taking questions from the people.
So my question is concerning groceries. Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden. Who would you say?
No one blames
is correct?
Trump.
Nobody. What a
And
fucking
what
lie.
would you do to bring prices down?
First,
for Americans?
look, product placement for lids. I thought the question would be, hey, do you want anything embroidered on the side? Yeah, can you put something emblem on here that lets everyone know that I'm a raging pussy? Yeah, just put a Kabbalah sticker on there.
Take care of it. The holographic one, please.
So she gave a very prefab answer on price gouging that we have seen exactly many times, and all of those times also did not answer the question.
Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create a new approach that is the first time that we will have a national ban on price gouging. In the midst of an emergency, whether it be an extreme weather event or even the pandemic, we saw it, where those few companies, not the majority, not most, but those few companies that would take advantage of the desperation of people and jack up prices. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them. I'm taking on, for example, price gouging.
How do you feel about eye gouging?
Every time she comes on, for example, price gouging.
For those bad ones, they
Pretending
take
it's
advantage
coming
of
off the
people,
cuff.
especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and there
jack
needs to
you
be
up.
accountability and consequence for that.
I'm taking on, for example, price gouging. I don't know. I think I saw it on sale for $14.95. She just immediately. That's what's so unlikable. It's one thing for someone. We expect politicians when they're stumping. We expect them to have some points. That's the economic plan. You're going to repeat it. The part that rubs people the wrong way is when she's just dishonest in a way that doesn't really. I'm taking on, for example, how do you say deficit? Like, no, you know what? Just go to it and then separate it from your conversation between people. She's not capable of it.
I think this pisses people off, though.
Yes.
I think when she says, I'm going to go after price gouging, she's trying to turn the American people against big corporations. But what she's failing to understand is that basically this makes it to where for you to believe her, you would have to believe that companies discovered price gouging in January of 2021.
No, that's right.
And that is the first time in history price gouging has existed. It is your fault, and you're not taking responsibility. That's what they see.
Yes.
They see somebody going, no, it's not my fault.
Hey,
It's them.
I found a new way to close our company off from half of the market due to unaffordability.
It's stupid.
Let's charge $18 for an apple.
Yeah, exactly.
See
What
how
the
it
fuck?
goes.
Have
Yeah.
you ever heard price gouging from? I've been following politics around 30 years now. Has that ever come up?
But like natural disasters will say price gouging.
Well, that, yeah,
but
I'm
naturally,
talking
no.
fucking Kroger's and Publix.
Yeah, and that's what drove things up 20% was a few companies, not most, not a majority, but a few. Yes, a few drove up the entire market.
If Kamala Harris had her way, you would have mobs with torches and pitchforks at the Piggly Wiggly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Maybe that pig deserves it.
Alarmed by high energy bills and upcoming gas shortages? There's this new heating technology out there, and it's cutting energy bills by 90%. It's already been sold out 5 times from Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, all those big box stores because it's so powerful. But the company behind it, they're not playing ball anymore with those big retailers, because after selling over 3 million units in just the past 30 days, they start selling it exclusively online. That's right, they're cutting out the middleman and slashing the price. This heater, called Heat Vortex, is unlike anything you've ever seen. It's been featured on all major news channels like Fox News, NBC, and even CNN. That's because it doesn't waste energy like regular heating systems. Instead, it runs on groundbreaking technology designed to recycle heat, meaning almost zero energy is wasted. And get this, it turbo heats rooms with just...
See the price of fucking ceramics at the yarn barn? It's fucking ridiculous.
Sorry.
What a dumb.
And then she goes on to something about, well, this is funny. There's a question about anti-Semitism, the lady who refused to pick a Jew who would have won her the election potentially, and thrilling response.
Like Hitler,
Oh, boy.
who has referred several times. We've heard the reports for years.
Quit picking on
Do you
Hitler.
believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being
That's
and
not what I
security
asked
of
you,
America.
whore.
He has said that he's casting himself as a protector of Israel. Do you believe you would be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous.
No, that would be your pap smear. She went on to answer. It's a violation of the Geneva Convention. It's like mustard. Yeah, it's like mustard gas. It
Can't use it.
it's like went on for like 3 minutes, and there was no actual mention of Israel.
I love it.
She just he's dangerous. By the way, tone the temperature down. It's never okay for political violence. Hitler.
I know that is just.
Donald Trump has done more for Hitler than any president that I can remember in our lifetime. And if she says she would be more pro-Israel, would have.
What you just said has done more for Hitler.
Sorry, no, Israel done more for Israel.
You said Hitler.
Yeah, you said Hitler.
You absolutely said Hitler. Hit that button.
Whoa!
Hit the Hitler bad button. We need the Hitler bad button right now to him. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
You said Donald Trump is, but the truth is, you're right, because
I know.
Hitler has never gotten more free publicity
I know.
than all the Donald
And
Trump.
people are actually going, I like Trump.
That's going to be clipped. Freak. Come on. He's done more for Israel than any
Yes.
president that I can remember
And
in our
Hitler.
lifetime. And she would absolutely have a fire break out in the Democrat Party if she says she's going to be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump.
That's
Well,
right.
she just said
She
the
can't do
genocide. The guy saying genocide, and she said that's real. What that person in the crown is saying is real. That
Right.
Israel is guilty of genocide. Of course, the media is really careful with that because they know that the Jewish vote is a huge part of the Democrat coalition. And this is the first time where it's pretty fragile because they're not quite sure. When you hear your candidate say, that's right, Israel is guilty of genocide, ooh, that might tip you over to the other side. So that's why it has not been getting wall-to-wall coverage. Then, oh,
don't get me started on
this one is fantastic. She's asked about a pastor, and she becomes a theologian, kind of.
One of the first phone calls you made after President Biden announced that he was dropping out was to your pastor. And I'm wondering, if it wasn't a confessional, if you could say what that conversation was like.
Well, my pastor, Reverend Dr. Amos C. Brown of Third Baptist Church.
I read that on the
It was an
card.
extraordinary day that Sunday when the president called me, and I instinctively understood the gravity of the moment, the seriousness of the moment. I didn't predict or know exactly how that day would play out, and obviously now it's been 3 months since I've been at the top of the ticket, actually 3 months as of yesterday. But I just called him. I needed that spiritual kind of connection. I needed that advice. I needed a prayer. And,
God.
And there's a part of the scripture that talks about Esther.
Williams?
And a time such as this, and that's what we talked about. And it was very comforting for me.
Riveting.
I'll take research I never completed for 500, Alex. Esther, times such as these, Old Testament or New?
Yeah.
The the queen of the Shiba Inu?
No, not even.
Then Rebecca.
But Esther's a book.
Times as these.
And it's a woman.
It's a good book. I wrote the forward.
It's a weird, it's such a, like you said, it's a weird way. She didn't do the like, there's a part of scripture that talks about Esther. No, there's a book that talks about Esther. And the book is called Esther.
It's the Esther
book of Esther.
It's the book of Esther.
Yes. It's the book of Esther's traveling pants.
It's not.
What?
Though.
I don't know.
And such a time as this was she saved the Jews. Which you couldn't even appoint to your ticket, lady. Literally saved the Jews from being annihilated. I don't know if you know the story.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that was the whole for such a time as this. Go before the king and save the Jews from being slaughtered throughout the world.
Who said that? So Esther said that?
No, Esther's. I can't remember. I can't remember the guy's name, but he said like, "You're there for such a time as this."
Yes.
She's like, "Yeah, but if I go before the king and he hasn't called me, he may kill me." And he's like, "You got to do it to save the Jews."
Yeah, well, it's sort of touch and go with the Jews right now.
She just grabbed the name out of the Bible, hoping everybody knew.
Esther.
You know what I mean?
You know why? Because she had to pick a female name.
Yeah,
she's like, what's the Esther from the Bible?
She looked down at a law firm card.
Yes. And
then
saw that she
Jacob.
never made partner. So then the question came up about praying, and she can't even answer that.
Do you pray every day?
I do pray every day. I do pray every day, sometimes twice a day.
Oh!
But in between washing turnip
The prophet is among us.
I grew up
twice a day.
So
Fucking Muslims are laughing their balls off.
She answered that like a dentist asking how many times you floss.
23rd Avenue Church of God, and I was raised to believe in a loving God.
Okay. Hold on. Go back to that pause there because, sorry, we were all laughing at that. Right, twice a day. But then she has to stop herself because she said it like 19 times. If you want, you could tell she wanted to. I was raised in a middle class. She wants it, but she stops herself. She goes, I was raised in a.
Yep.
I grew up. So
yeah, you can hear it. Yeah. Somebody shocked her.
23rd Avenue Church of God.
Somebody backstage getting.
I was raised to believe in a loving God.
As opposed to mine, they used to beat kids about the head and face.
Well, the one you believe in, you're testing is patience. We all know what she actually wanted to say because we have receipts.
I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I will never forget where I come from.
Yeah.
I will never forget where I come from.
Boy.
Look, I grew up in the middle class. I come from the middle class. I understand where I come from, and I'm never going to forget that. Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
And you'll end with it.
Middle class. I'm never going to forget where I come from. Middle-class kids. One, a daughter of Oakland, California.
Berkeley.
Put the middle class and
Oakland.
working families first. It's where I come from, and I will never forget where I come from. I come from
Where
the
I
middle
come
class, and I will
from,
never
I
forget where I
blow
come
some mayors and. By the way, born technically in Oakland, lived in Berkeley, and then Westmount, Montreal. It's like someone in Manhattan
God.
saying, I lived in Harlem. No, a penthouse on the Upper East Side. I get that the vicinity is nearby, but worlds apart. Nothing about her is even remotely genuine, and she had to stop herself because she realized she'd already said it too many times in this town hall. Please, the most important thing from last night's town hall, is do not become complacent. I know that you think this should be a walk-off. Get out and vote. I know you think that it shouldn't even be a challenge. It almost feels wrong with someone who's actually retarded, YouTube dumb. But
Really?
you still have a part to play, a very significant role. Her response next to this
was maybe
this
the
is
worst.
one of those, what is your biggest weakness questions, right? Her answer is an all-time classic.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect. So let's start there.
Thanks for clearing that up.
The question was greatest weakness.
What is this, salad?
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes. I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes. I confess. And some might call that a weakness, especially if you're, in an interview or just kind of, being asked a certain question and you're expected to have the right answer right away. But that's how I work.
Okay, so according to
There's these new high-tech shoes that relieve lower back pain, knee pain, and even improve your posture. With a unique design that combines acupuncture pressure points and ultra-thin soles, they'll make it feel as if you're walking on clouds. And after pain specialists called it one of the top solutions, people are scrambling to get their hands on them. It's called Grounded Footwear, and here's the kicker. They were originally designed by Dr. Feinberg, a decorated Army flight medic. This guy wanted to help retired veterans enjoy more pain-free movement. Then, almost by accident, he found a solution in an ancient Chinese medicine journal. Dr. Feinberg discovered that by applying pressure to specific acupoints on the feet, pain throughout the entire body could be alleviated. So he created a unique type of shoe that relieves all types of body pain, allowing veterans to walk longer distances without discomfort. But now it's finally available to the public. And trust me, it's flying off the shelves faster than you can imagine. They're using a modernized form of acupressure, which is an ancient healing technique that is now making a big comeback. By using unique insoles that target 12 large acupoints, providing pain relief, they're allowing you to walk comfortably all day, every day, which is something that's never been done before. Now these shoes have been featured on Fox News.
The tally I have here, that now puts the world historical tally at 50 billion women to 0 who've ever answered that question honestly.
Seems
Nick.
So her worst quality is that she studies things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is a good quality in everybody else.
exactly.
That's her worst.
My worst quality is
I'm a nerd.
I'm so could you
That's
imagine?
That's a compliment. Yeah, you're a real bookworm, you fucking retard.
She would be the water girl for the chess club.
Yes.
If she showed up, there would be an abject panic. No. We want to be a good chess club.
I love a president, by the way. Ma'am, we have about 30 seconds before a missile gets launched. Well, I'd like to do some research.
Right.
And I would like to look into that. I'm a nerd.
Yes.
Ma'am, we don't have time. Yes, but I do.
Here's the thing. It would be fine if you did a bunch of research and you came back and answered. But you do neither of those things. And her answer on like past mistakes and greatest weakness, it gets worse.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
Black cock.
I mean, I've made many mistakes. And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
We said the last 4 years.
In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Question on weakness. I'm sorry. Make that world tally history 50 billion and one.
Yes.
What the fuck was
to
that?
0
that
who've
was the
answered it
worst.
honestly. That's one thing that people liked about, I don't know if you remember Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I think he was on stage with, I believe it was like Hillary Clinton and John Edwards.
Smoke weed.
And they said, what's your greatest weakness? And he answered first. And he said, my desk is messy. I can be a pretty messy person. Then they go to Hillary Clinton. She's like, I work too hard. And they go to John Edwards. She's like, I care too much. And Barack Obama was like, can I do it again? I didn't realize that was the kind of answer we're supposed to give. And it made people like it.
Yes. Because it's a little bit honest, at least.
And I still didn't vote for that jerk.
No, of course not. But he could be funny.
Right.
He could be personable.
Yes.
Okay. If I was advising Kamala Harris, and I'm not, I'd be like, okay, you know, mistakes. I don't know. How about helping bail out rioters who went on to commit violent crimes, being the last person in the room and the person in the room to repeatedly advise on the Afghanistan withdrawal? How about casting the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, picking Tim Walz for VP? That's a doozy. Debating Tulsi Gabbard, that didn't go well. Failing the bar exam at least one time that we know of, and having 1,000 cases dismissed because you couldn't handle evidence properly.
No.
I guess that one's not the last 4 years, but that's just me, Mr. Petty.
I think Tim brought up the best point.
Yeah.
She basically said it's a mistake not to be well-versed in a topic.
I don't know what she said.
Yeah, she double talked on that.
Yes, a minute ago, she's like, I don't have the answer. I like to go research stuff. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on a second here.
My greatest, that's my greatest weakness is I read too much.
Mm-hmm.
I listen too much.
Uh-huh.
I care too much.
I'm too honest.
I'm too middle class.
In Oakland.
Can't shake it. Also, I don't know what happened. I don't know why she was being asked a question by Let Himself Go Doug Funny. But his next question was if Patty Mayonnaise likes him.
Oh, always know.
Here's another question, which, should really allow her to sink her teeth into about kind of the nuts and bolts, the specifics of her economic plan. Hopefully you understand why the entire show is a roast of this. Like, there was time for nothing else. And this is the whittled down version.
I would like to hear more nuts and bolts about your economic
She said
plans.
nuts?
Sure. Thank you, Pam.
Nuts and bolts are on your
first
neck.
of all, it is the case in the United States of America that billionaires on average pay less taxes
Watch, he presses him.
as a percentage
Presses her. Yeah.
than teachers and firefighters and nurses.
I'm talking
And
about
that-
hard workers like pound the street, have some success.
You mean
Yes,
prostitutes?
No, I understand, but I want to just let's
Not
set
the really high.
Let's set the scene.
Look,
right?
she's getting upset.
So,
I'm answering quickly. She's going to float out of the town hall.
richest
I'm talking
among us
here.
Need to pay their fair share.
Okay.
I am referencing that, and I need to reference that because
Here, watch.
sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big
She goes back
corporations,
to it.
which
They got
added
nothing.
trillions of dollars to our deficit. So that sadly needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point, but is not given what he did.
Right. Hold on. The first thing is nothing you say is obvious. It's nonsensical. What is obvious is the United States deficit has increased by $473 billion. Wait for it. In the last 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Well, some would say a lot.
And even
Elon
this next one, this is why I say that I don't, you comment below. I don't think that CNN, I think at this point they want to get some distance between her and them because
They do, but they see that. Look at the way that lady goes, no. I asked you about the economy. I asked you about your economic plan. I didn't ask you about your tax plan. And you're, no. Don't talk about billionaires. I've heard you talk about billionaires. Please tell me what you're going to do for me.
shut up. Let me talk about billionaires.
Yes, and then she goes right back to it.
Yeah.
Yesterday she was bragging about that's why I'm going around the country listening to people.
Oh, yeah,
Then she
right.
had a town hall where you couldn't ask
Yeah,
questions.
I know. You know that she's not a nice person. You can tell when she mingles with people.
Just a little. That lady just pushed her a little,
Yeah.
and you could see the hate in the eyes.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm asking you though, are our taxes going to? The only thing going up is your cholesterol. Okay.
Okay. You could see that in her eyes.
She has never been pushed back on, and that's what DEI gives you. Seriously, women have never heard the fucking truth of themselves. Black people haven't heard the truth about themselves in 1,000 years, unless they watch my comedy. Honestly, this is I hope for the Trump thing that I love the fact that black people are coming around. This to me is the best byproduct.
Well, she's disconnected with so many black people. That's the thing. Like, she's not emblematic. She's not representative of the black experience.
No.
And people in the black community, when you look at when they answer these town halls, they're in the focus groups, not the talking heads. Let me just be there's a huge difference between the talking heads on CNN and the average black American somewhere around your neighborhood. They're very, very different. Van Jones shares very little in common with them. Congressman Clyburn shares very little in common with them. They do appreciate someone who's willing to listen. And here's the thing, a lot of black, in my experience, and you can comment, if they don't have inherent disdain for success if someone's a male. In other words, there's a reason he was, featured, Donald Trump, or mentioned in hundreds of hip hop tracks, because it was something to aspire to, and they actually appreciate that someone is authentically successful. In other words, you can be successful, really rich, and be authentic. And you can also be mediocre and inauthentic, as you see from Kamala Harris. So let's continue on this, where she's pressed just a little bit by Anderson Cooper on the $400,000 tax thing.
What you're saying is anyone under 400,000 won't have taxes raised. Or are you saying that anyone above 400,000 will have a tax raise?
I'm saying that there is going to be a parity around what the richest people pay in terms of their taxes.
What I'm saying, Anderson, is I've shit my pantsuit.
Wait. You want parity in percentages, but not numbers? Do you understand that rich people pay the vast majority of taxes in this country? I'm all for parity then, because it would mean a tax cut for rich people then.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she knows what parity means.
I don't think so either.
I really don't think
she's like, we want parity.
Neither does SNL.
Yeah.
I think she has a general idea of the concept, kind of. Anyway,
isn't it like literally the top 2 or 3% pay half the taxes?
They pay it. Yeah, they pay a ton of taxes.
like
what she's talking about is a lot of them have capital gains taxes, right? So they're not making income in the same way. It's just a lot of times they'll carry over losses.
How to slash your heating bills in half. This only takes 5 minutes. This new invention keeps you warm for almost zero cost. It warms any room in record time while using 90% less energy. This genius Vietnam War veteran discovered an alternative way to stay warm this winter. But greedy energy companies are trying their hardest to shut him down. His invention turns every room into a warm and cozy environment, all while slashing energy bills in half. The story started last winter when Donald woke up in the middle of the night to a big scare. He was gasping for air and his skin had turned hard and white. A visit to the hospital revealed he had developed frostbites and hypothermia. A snowstorm had caused temperatures in his home to drop below freezing point overnight because of a broken central heating system. Thankfully, he was treated at the hospital. But after that episode, he decided he would never have this happen again. That's why he teamed up with his son, a former NASA engineer who designed the heating system in the International Space Station. Together, they reverse engineered traditional heating systems and discovered a key thing they were all missing. Traditional heaters only generate new heat instead of continuously recycling it like the heater.
You could say the same thing about a lot of medium-sized businesses. That's just something that happens if you own and run a business. I mean, you'll have a year where you carry over losses because of timing, when the taxes take place, when the payments come in. I mean, for example, on YouTube, that's why you see so much clickbait in the last quarter of the year, because people start dumping all their ads in Q4, and some people make like 75% of their revenue. In the case of this show, we make zero. That's why we ask that you join Mug Club for $89 a year. Click that button. There is no election stream unless you join. You can at least go mugless for $9 a month. We get $0 from YouTube, but that's parity for you. Did I say that right? I didn't. So then Anderson asked Kamala Harris about packing the court, and she was like, "No, sorry, yes, Anderson did. I'm trying to keep track. Packing the court, and
Packing the fudge. I think this is an audience member.
Oh, it is? Okay. And she answered like, pretty much.
Would you be in favor of expanding the court to say 12?
That's a huge
so each
bit.
justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist
Hey,
in
Terrell
making
Owens is in the
judgments
background.
more balanced.
Rewind it just a
Well,
second.
to your-
You got rewind it just a second.
Expanding the court to say 12. So each justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist in making judgments more balanced.
Judgments?
Yeah.
Drew Carey wants his glasses back.
Stop it. She was born with the disability of being perpetually annoying.
Bullshit. She was just welding.
And having 2 black eyes.
Look at the Asian guy. Look
That's
at
Minion 6.
Black Jesus behind her. Then you get the Asian kid. It's beautiful.
It is. It's a wonderful. I got the demographics right. So sorry, finish it and then we'll yeah.
Well, to your point, there is no question that the American people increasingly are losing confidence in the Supreme Court.
Because of
and
you.
No,
in
they're
large
not.
part because of the behavior of certain members of that court and because of certain rulings, including the Dobbs decision and taking away a precedent that had been in place for 50 years, protecting a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like.
You study
But I
it.
do
Good.
believe.
Your
But again,
weakness. You're a
let's just, while you raise the point of the court, understand that, again, in 13 days, the American people will decide who is the next president of the United States.
There's her showing her Achilles heel again, doing too much research. She flew too close to the sun on the wings of too much knowledge. So basically, 12 justices, yes, and the 12 shall be known as the Kamal Apostles. She has, that's worse than I thought it was going to be.
Wow, that got bad fast.
Is that
hell's
one
in
black comedian chick who's on the
I don't even
CNN
know.
comedy show now? I don't know. All right.
You guys do some research in there and see who those people are.
Yeah.
We'll leave it to you.
No, go do some weakness, as
That's
it's known.
weakness. That's right. Nobody in her life has accused her of being too well read.
Yeah.
There's
That's her greatest weakness. And the problem is if someone touches her pantsuit, she says, I can feel my weakness leaving my body.
That's
and then
right.
she has to give you an answer.
Is that why she failed the bar exam? She studied too hard the first time?
She went to the bar and got confused.
What the hell is this?
Dun, 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 dun.
When she's holding that mic, you think she sees Willie Brown's dick every time she looks down.
Like someone on an island who hasn't eaten in a while and your friend turns into a hot dog.
Yes.
Ah.
Guys, do you have a white mic, please?
She comes in with like the old, next time it's a white version of Tom Jones, that 70s stick mic.
Yeah.
This is my company.
Yeah. Match game 75. Gene
So-
Rayburn stick mic.
So here she is answering when it seemed like Anderson was getting fed up a little bit. And actually, this is why I say it seems to me like CNN wants to put some distance between them and her.
Too late.
He went through a rapid fire of questioning her on her complete reversal of policies.
What he's referring to, and you point out too, when you're running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
right, I know you said
Yeah.
you would not ban fracking.
Correct.
You had said in the 2019 town hall, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. In 2017, you talked about Medicare for all. You talked about 2019, you raised a hand in debate about if border crossings should be decriminalized. Are all of those issues, which those are not your positions now, are all those issues that you're saying through consensus and getting
This
stuff
isn't what we
done, you have
rehearsed,
evolved on?
Anderson.
Well,
Look at that
no,
face.
let's take, for example, the issue of
consensus.
Medicare. My point has always been
But you didn't,
that
though. He didn't bring up
access to
He didn't bring up
healthcare should not
Medicare.
just
You
be
don't
a
cherry
privilege
pick,
of
you
those who can
douche.
afford it. It should be a right for all people.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossings
That
should
was
be
your hand, wasn't it?
criminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure.
And just finally on fracking, you said you're clear you would not ban it as president.
No,
You-
I would not ban it as
Right,
president.
I know you're clear on that.
That was the hardest that she's been.
You're right.
I
They are
think-
embarrassed by her.
I think Anderson Cooper had well, they weren't really, because he probably doesn't have any angel because he's gay, but two devils. And
That's wrong.
Who knows?
and one of them is going like, we have to get a Democrat elected. And the other one is saying, but we hate women. Winner. So
I bet you he fired off a resume to Fox News last night.
Like, somebody kill me. Do I have to do this?
he's sexting Shep Smith as we speak.
Yeah. Do you know anybody over there that you didn't blow?
You're not there anymore? Huh. Chris Wallace? Oh, you're here too.
We're all gonna
Ainsley,
die.
gross.
This is amazing. Seriously, this is amazing. We're witnessing something.
It gets worse.
All right.
This is the worst. So the biggest mistake of the night was when they left a live mic and camera on Kamala Harris as she began to mingle after the event with the crowd, attempting to act like a human.
Hi. Thank you for your question. Thank you for the time. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Please.
Do you mind turning around? We'll just do a photo with help.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know how I feel. This is the thing.
Watch this.
The Penn and Teller.
This is not a conversion, right? It's literally no one should be judged on any level, and the gut. It's just my point is the government.
Now watch. This gets worse.
It is not about ever disputing or criticizing anyone's faith. Ever. Never. You know? Yeah.
We talk so much about the right of the woman in these situations, but there's another person.
Right.
And that other person sometimes is oftentimes
As long as it's not the government involved.
And that's the point. It's just that the government shouldn't be doing that, you know? So, but I appreciate you asking your question and raising the point.
and you have a role as a moral leader too.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll send it to you. You want to speak in there?
Look right here. And then you can send it to everyone.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the question, Jackson. Thank you all. Okay, take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's just the way she says thank you.
Thank you.
Comes across as angry, but that's what you see. Look, that man there, and he was doing a focus group afterward. He's pro-life. He's saying, but he has a problem. I don't know how you're pro-life and you even consider voting for Kamala Harris.
Right, no.
But that's what you could see, whether you agree with him or not. He was saying, yeah, but there is another life. And she's learned how to pretend like she's listening without listening. That's right. That's right. And not the government. Well, hold on a second. That doesn't address his point. You should have either not gone to speak with him or addressed his point. The government does play a role in determining whether you can end someone else's life in every other scenario. But he goes, yeah. And you could see him trying to. This is probably a man of deep faith saying, and you do have a role as a moral leader. He's trying to say, hey, abortion all the way up until and including birth, potentially after birth, you can do something. Saying, that's right. Thank you. It was so uncomfortable. She's not able to do the interactions. So this was the entire. I don't know if there's anything else that
I am not with Ms. Vice President.
Not with Kamala.
I am not with her.
And I am not voting for Kamala Harris.
And I am not with her.
I'm not voting for Kamala Harris.
Protecting our borders when that was her one job.
I don't want the government telling me how to raise my child.
They cannot afford their rent.
Inflation is killing our family.
We need safety and we need Donald Trump.
I missed the entire town hall. And because this was a major event and there's only 12 days until the election, let's see what happened post town hall with our Poly Market check-in. Oh crap, it's worse.
Explain to me again why Poly Market is the go-to.
Well, it's not the go-to. It's
well,
just,
what makes it different than the?
Well, it's where a lot of people bet, and I know the left will say, "Hey, they'll say, well, a few people are moving around
Like
a bunch of
FanDuel,
millions of dollars."
you mean?
It's where people bet. People actually that's a reflection of how people are betting.
It's the largest betting market.
It's the largest
in the
betting
world
market
on this.
Now, some people say a lot of crypto people bet there, so it's biased. But every single betting market is double-digit spread for Donald Trump right now as far as betting. You cannot maybe that's the widest one, 20-something points, depending the minute you go and check in. I don't think there's a single one that's less than 13 points last I checked, and the average is about 16 points.
It'll narrow some because it's a money, right? You're looking at like, oh, okay, now the odds are even better for me, and I might make some more money off of this. So I think it'll narrow down. But it's to your point, Nick. It's you look at polling.
Yep.
You look at some of the data that we have that's coming out of like early voting and stuff like that we're going to be able to provide to people tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow and exclusive, by the way. We have some exclusive data on early voting.
That's our
and
team doing it and getting the data to you guys. This is what you basically, when you signed up for Mug Club, this is what you signed up for, this kind of stuff to be able to bring. And you put in the betting with that, and it's painting a picture.
Yes.
And the picture is like, hey, if we show up, we will absolutely win.
Yes, if you show up, and hey, in particular, if you are in a rural area, that's a lot of people don't realize they're very red, but they often haven't showed up to vote in the kinds of numbers that would be needed.
But they are now, I heard. Right?
They are now. And we have an entire segment on that tomorrow, entire show on it tomorrow that'll be available on Rumble and YouTube. Some really good news, but again, take it as, okay, you now have the ability to build momentum. The bike the bike pedals have already been moved, but now you can get going really fast. Do not stop the bicycle at this point. So I know a lot of people think it's a psyop if you say, hey, there's a lot of good to take away from this. Well, no. You have to acknowledge the wins so that maybe, or acknowledge, I should say, the momentum so that then you know where to best place your energy. In no scenario is that energy not placed into doing your part to not only vote, but to get other people in your area, to influence people to vote. And we'll talk about all of this tomorrow. But right now, because of the town hall, did you have something else?
No. Good.
Because the town hall, of course, and seeing the Polymarket betting odds, where that's a rough one. We actually have here to discuss it.
Oh yeah.
People think it's not, but it is the real name.
Donald,
father of Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Mr. Donald J. Harris. Mr. Donald J. Harris, thank you for being here. Your thoughts on how Kamala did last night?
Yeah, man, she did just as I expected. Made a lot of sound, but what she said was nothing. I hear she do the same thing with Willie Brown.
Hey, that's your daughter. Let's not go down that path again.
Well, luckily, they had that bad body boy, Anderson Cooper, on the show. But he want no part of that ranking meat.
What did you say? Did you say batty boy?
Batty boy.
What's
you
ranking?
might call it a gay man.
Well, no. Is that what you call them?
That's what we call them on the island.
Okay, and what's ranking meat?
Yeah, man, ranking meat. You know, the pony, the chocho, the coochie, the kitty, the rasta reef, the punash, the pom-pom, the saltfish, the tuni, the punani.
I was serving that at Marley's fucking funeral.
Jeez,
the front.
Okay, this is going nowhere. Thank you for taking the time, All right, and we actually do have that clip, I believe, of James Carville here on Mug Club, which we're going to be talking.
Subject for today.
Glad to be with you. If you're watching on Rumble and YouTube, usually this is a Mug Club, well, really only on Mug Club, but we do have some Mug Club exclusive data analysis because we've been putting a lot of work into it, paying a lot of the dough.
Cheddar,
as some people. Is that what people call it?
I don't know.
I'm looking at specifically some data that we see right now on whether Trump, there's been some concern, Donald Trump is losing his base. And we're going to be talking about that and looking at these swing states and the polls. Again, there's a lot of good news, but you are being sold some information that may not be entirely correct as it relates to some key swing states. The good news is there's something that you can do about it. So before we get into it, let me ask you, which blue states are part of the blue wall do you think President Trump is most likely to end up flipping? Don't cheat. Don't fast forward, and then you can comment afterward when you see our analysis. So
Josh has a bet on this, by the way. He's got a prop bet on Trump flipping a solid blue state. So whichever one, make sure it's on his list. It's like 10 states listed.
I don't know what you just said, but that's Captain Morgan, CEO number 2. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah. You?
You ever get one of those like pressure headaches and you feel like if you took a nail gun and were like a balloon, you'd be like, oh, it feels so much better. Of course, you'd probably die.
Yeah, well, not probably.
But you feel that, you know what I mean? Have you ever mentally felt like, man, if I could just like pierce a hole, I bet you this pressure would go. And then, you realize that's not how the body works.
Like, is it? You just have to pop it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And here in third chair, because this is also under his domain, one of our brilliant researchers here, Lane the Brain, also known as Ginger Snap. He doesn't like that, but it's a term of endearment because the ladies love him. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here to work on numbers because that's what my degree is in is math.
Yes.
It's exciting.
That's true.
And you're no better person to bring in.
And you're a friendly ghost.
So, all white. It's always tough with the.
Well, I'm so tan that I thought I could.
I know. I mean, the truth is, that's kind of a marvel that, obviously he's a man who he's no stranger to the weights. And that's hard to make quite apparent when you are that pale.
That's true.
I don't really get the, like the black dudes get that nice lighting.
Yeah, well, so do the white dudes in bodybuilding.
The clear dudes do not.
They
Yes. Not enough contrast.
Present to you the next Mr. Olympia, Larry Bird. So we wanted to get into this because we're hearing a lot of claims made out there, both on the left and on the right. And it's easy to get nerdy, but also lose the bigger picture. And a problem, a lot of people will tell you, hey, don't try and compare this to other elections because everything is changing very rapidly. I think there's some truth to that. But there's a difference between that and being disingenuous in making comparisons in order to try and make one side feel as though defeat is imminent. That's what we're seeing from CNN. They are not pulling apples to apples comparisons, and we actually have had our team here pour through the data to be able to make that comparison, because CNN wants you to believe that an entire segment on the fact that Donald Trump is losing his core base, non-college educated white voters.
We've seen so many groups this year moving in Donald Trump's direction. So you would think his core group, his base of support would be doing the same. But in fact, it's moving a little bit away from him. So this is Trump's margin with non-college white voters. Unlike most voting blocks, this group is not moving towards him. It's actually moving slightly away. So you go back 8 years ago, he won him by 33. You go back 4 years ago, he won him by 31. Now what we look is we see that in the latest average of polls, he's only up by 27. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but given that we're seeing these double-digit gains, say, among black voters or among Hispanic voters in some of the polls, the fact that we're seeing this core group of supporters actually moving away from him, not just off of the 2016 baseline, but the 2020 baseline as well, I think that's a rather interesting development.
Now, multiple problems with his analysis there, which we will get to, but not the least of which, by the way, is, to be fair, it can be quite hard to poll non-college educated white voters.
Okay, goodbye.
Is that a Rob Zombie film?
That's Margaritaville at the Lake of the Ozarks.
He's a parrot head. Yeah. So we do have some problems with the analysis here, and Lane and our team back here went through them. Let me give you the first problem. You were pointing this out. The source of the claim being made there, and that's Enton is the guy's name.
Yeah, Harry Enton.
Harry Enton. The source of his claim is Enton's aggregate.
Okay, it's just like Crowder's aggregate.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. We are actually able to tell you where our data is coming from, and which data is exclusive. We, as far as I understand, Lane, please correct me, could not find the details of his data published anywhere, correct?
I would like to correct you, but I can't because we cannot.
Not anywhere.
It's not anywhere. This is not to say it doesn't exist or they didn't run a focus group of 2 people from Pittsburgh. I don't know how he got the information, but it's not available to us.
Okay. So here's a problem number 2, by the way, that if you look at, they're comparing, explain the second problem for people who don't know, and let's kind of simplify it. Compared to 2024, right? The results that we have seen in these elections.
Right. So they're comparing polling right now with the white voters to what the exit poll showed after the actual election in 2020.
So actual results.
Actual
polling.
results.
Oh, right. Wow.
But we all know that the silent, Trump voter is a real thing.
Yes.
And they don't tend to answer as heavily in polls as other voters.
And we'll get into that a little later on. And by the way, when people say that Republicans outperform polls, what they mean to say, because you'll always get someone on the left saying, oh, that's not what happened in the midterms. No, what they mean to say is when Donald Trump is on the ballot. Donald Trump outperforms polls. There hasn't been an exception to that nationally yet. And that's significant. Okay, here's the third key problem is that CNN's analysis claimed that the polling shows Kamala is holding her own in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. That would seem pretty bad.
It would seem bad.
It would seem quite bad, which brings us to this exclusive Mug Club analysis. All right. And we will make this, of course, all references available to you. Link in the description, louderwithcrowder.com. And some of this is exclusive, a lot of work into it. So the numbers that we crunched, Lane, and I know you spent a lot of time with this.
Right.
What do we have? We have data from 2020 with non-college voters in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, right?
Yes.
Okay. And a big problem that you see there, if we can bring up that still, is they used to include non-college educated voters. It used to include people from vocational schools.
Correct.
Right? So trade
In
schools.
2020, it did.
Those were all in one category.
Yes.
Now that's been separated.
Now it's 3 separate categories.
Right. So it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Exactly.
So the data that we've crunched makes the category as close as humanly possible to what we have seen in the last election.
Exactly.
Right. And that number, when you look at that, comparing 2020, putting vocational schools or those who've attended them into that subset, 2020 compared to now, Trump is actually up 1.2% with all non-college educated people in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Here's a caveat. We were not able to find exclusively non-college educated white voters outside of Enton's analysis.
Of course, his aggregate.
And the reason for that, I believe, Lane, is that no one has done it.
No, I mean, we looked through every polling source that we could find, and we ended up settling mostly with Emerson because their crosstabs are the most detailed. And it does not include the specific category of white non-college educated voters. Again, why Enton doesn't just share where he's getting that information from, I'm not quite sure. It would be very easy for
You're
him to
not
do
quite
so.
sure?
Well,
You're
I
not
am.
quite sure?
That's called sarcasm.
Come on. Yes. Yes. No, I know. It would be very easy just to say that. And that's so the difference is here, we're saying, hey, here is where we got it.
Yeah. And I would actually
go crunch it.
Based on all the data we have available to us, again, if we were to look at crosstabs of white voters versus, let's say, black voters, you would imagine that white non-college educated voters would be slightly higher than the overall 1.2% overperformance compared to 2020.
Yeah.
Right. It makes sense to see that kind of downward shift from 2016 to 2020 because you have a white dude that resonated with a lot of kind of the old school Union Democrats. Kamala's not resonating with old school Union Democrats, mostly because they wouldn't even endorse her.
Right. That's true. Also because they don't understand her.
Nobody does, to be fair.
Not, also, not to be underestimated, they severely dislike her. Some might argue disdain. So at this point, when this man is telling you in CNN, and you are seeing this, unfortunately, then parrot it across other platforms as though it is gospel. That's the source. Kind of like when you're talking about the Nazi comment, talking about the effing Mexican comment. One person said something one time, and then everyone else thinks it's legitimate. This is actually some pretty good news, but it seems like the left may just be flat out lying about Donald Trump. Again, like they do, by the way, in all of their political ads.
Howdy. Hey there, I'm Colonel Slanders, here to talk to you about Donald Trump. That Yankee's got a little too big for his britches. But don't worry, because he's no bigger than a minnow in a fishing pond. Hey, did you know that he called our fallen soldiers losers and suckers? As a Southerner, this offends me more than oven-baked chicken or mixed marriages. And if you're taking your juicy, savory, God-blessed chicken and baking it in the oven, then you, my friend, are the loser and or the sucker, because sure as hell ain't finger-licking good. Good Lord, that's good chicken. God dang! This ad's paid for by the Colonels for Harris Family Pack Bucket. Oh, it's just a regular pack?
You know, I gotta say, that feels like an old school Democrat I could get along with.
Yeah.
I'd have a beer with him.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I'd have a nice mint julep. So we want to give you an update here too, as far as polling that we have seen and early voting, which is pretty significant. Some shifts here, a lot of good to see, but some wrinkles. Good news is it's a problem that you can directly affect. So the RCP average that we see right now has Kamala ahead, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on anything, Lane. Has Kamala ahead by 0.2%.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
The last 4 polls have gone Donald Trump. Give this another 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days.
Yeah.
That may flip to Donald Trump.
Right.
Wall Street Journal just had him up 3 in their lead.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Yes. That bastion of right-wing
Well,
extremism.
It's plus in all those polls, it's +2 or 3. I believe. One more poll and that number goes away.
Well, and here's where the overperformance that you see from Donald Trump in polls historically, assuming, by the way, that maybe pollsters haven't gotten it 100% right. We've been told that they have at this point, so you can trust them. And this is just one tool that you have available to you. But we'll look at 2020. Okay, 2020 at this point, Biden was up by 8.1%.
Wow.
Right in those polls.
Wow.
Final popular vote, he won by 4.5. So he won
by half.
Yeah, he won by about half. Kamala's up 0.2%.
Yeah.
So if it's even close to the overperformance, again, let's look at Hillary Clinton. 2016, she was up by 5.5 at this point in that election. The final popular vote, she did win by 2.1%. So again, about half.
Let's take the low number, the 3. They're off by 3, the closest one they got with Hillary Clinton.
Right.
3 points. That means Donald Trump wins the popular vote by 2 points.
It means
That's
that
massive.
yes, the popular vote is well within reach at this point. That's one where I think the betting odds might actually be wrong a little bit because everyone has said, well, he's not going to lose the popular vote.
Yeah, they just assume it's going to happen.
Can you imagine the meltdown if Trump like way overperformed in California and won the popular vote, but ended up losing the Electoral College?
That would be absolutely insane.
What do you think?
Why would you put that out in the ether?
Because that would absolutely burn down Democrats' entire world.
Yes, it would. James
but they
Carville
in the
would.
White House. So
the point is they would they would be twisted and not. I don't want it to happen.
No one wants it to happen. James Carville would be out in the streets with an AR-15.
He would.
I get it, nah.
No, but Harris,
having a fire.
James Harris won. You're like, that don't matter.
It don't matter.
She lost that popular vote. That's
you
what
know,
matters.
you making the rules. We just call them one electoral college.
So let's look at the swing states. Right now, Donald Trump is leading in all swing states. The average across all of them is Trump is up 0.9%.
Wow.
Okay. Again, in 2020, Biden was leading in all swing states. The average, the advantage he saw was about 4 points. 4 points. That's about a 5-point spread. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
And then we get to early voting. So again, it's too early to make all of these judgments, but we can certainly make the judgment that guy in CNN likely full of crap, right? That's safe?
Yeah, safe.
Most likely scenario. I would sooner trust Frank Luntz with his hairpiece and white sneakers.
Always white sneakers.
Now, how many people are going to vote for Trump? Show of hands. Show of hands. There you go. That's 100%. What was that? Sorry, 90%. More money, please.
Brilliant.
So let's look at the early voting here at 2020 versus now. Okay. And Lane, make sure you kind of provide some context here because some people may have a tough time with the sources that we are going to be giving to you looking at the crosstabs and the references.
Right. So we're pulling all the data from all available references and then looking at what best represents where we are right now, which is 12 days out from the election. So all these early voting kind of statistics that we're going to see are comparing to the same 12 days out in voting in 2020.
Exactly. And that's important because what you were talking about earlier, there's a difference in, basically comparing polling before an election and then exit polling.
Huge difference.
Yeah, so we're making sure that we are comparing at this exact moment in time because each day can make a significant difference. Okay. So let's look at North Carolina. What you have seen with early voting is a 14-point swing toward Republicans. That means 14 points along that scale toward Republicans. That doesn't mean Republicans are winning by 14 points. It means it's a 14-point difference in early voting now versus this exact time in the election in 2020.
Yep. That's huge.
Yes.
That's absolutely huge.
And what's the other key point that you were saying here, Lane, is that Democrats were leading in early voting until, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday morning?
Yeah, yesterday morning, actually, the total, it's not just that there has been that 14-point swing, but now it's actually put Republicans into positive territory.
Right.
So they are, in terms of raw numbers, right now ahead in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is huge. When you have a very close state, 10, 20, 30,000 votes, making sure that you get people out to start kind of winning. Like if all of these early voters vote early and then we have a terrible turnout on election day, that can be bad for Republicans. But these are positive signs that if we keep doing what we're doing, this could be very good.
Well, I will tell you this. Before the hurricane, I was most concerned about North Carolina.
Yes.
I thought that it was a dark horse a lot of people weren't paying attention to. And it didn't seem like maybe there was as good of a ground game there. But it seems like now, again, it's not. Nothing is a guarantee. Nothing is a safe bet at this point. So you need to do your part. We cannot say port. Did I say you need to do your part? You need to do your part.
Your worst nightmare.
Get out. It's your worst nightmare. Your car broke down.
And you don't do your part.
A good way to look at this, and I think when people use like the term point swing, 16-point swing, whatever, it's kind of hard to digest. But if you just think about it like in basketball or something, and the home team is down by in favor of the home team, but they're still down by 3.
Right.
What happened in North Carolina is they hit enough shots that they're actually ahead now.
Right. Yes. So exactly. So it could be, let's say if Republicans were losing, it could take them from, let's say, 40 to 65. a 15-point swing. Are going to take them from
55.
30.
Gosh, what is
to
math? 40 to 55.
I have a headache right now. I
Lane
said
did
I wanted
too.
to puncture my skull with a nail gun.
You did it. I brought a nail gun, and then you chickened out.
I'm telling you, it's really hard to do math when you do have a headache.
Well, Lane did it too. He said he both when you're down by 5 and you're still down by 3.
Just look, check the sources.
You're fine.
And the cross tabs. It's the bad math. It's contagious. We've spent so much time watching Kamala Harris interviews that we are actually dumber.
I'll speak for 7 minutes on the next point, please.
Yes.
Listen,
That Notre Dame education.
Terrence Howard appreciates your math.
Oh.
That's because it's about. I spent time with Pythagoras.
You did. Huh?
It's the flower of life. Okay. Why do you sound like you're going to cry? It's just the way I talk. Okay. Let's go. Let's go to Nevada. There's been a 16-point swing to Republicans. And this is the first time, actually, that Republicans are leading early voting since 2008. Have that right, Lane?
Yep.
Yes, you do.
And a big reason for that is that the rural vote is, well, you have the Clark County, the wall is not as strong as it needed to be.
Yeah.
And the rural vote has been overperforming by a significant number.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why the rural vote right now is coming out. The people that are most, in my opinion, maybe the people that are most overlooked in this country, they're all the time referred to, not just as flyover states, but like even within states, like, all right, we care about Chicago, but we care about nothing else south of Chicago, right? These people that have been marginalized, that are having to go to the grocery stores and pay some of the highest prices. I wonder why they're like, you know what? No, screw it. I'm voting.
Right.
I think that's a huge point for us right now because there's a lot of ground we can gain. Yesterday, we took a chat from somebody saying, people just don't vote because they think Chicago and Illinois is going to carry the state.
Sure.
You're getting a lot of those people this time around. Hopefully, they're like, screw it, we're voting.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. And of course, there's some anomalies because of, COVID, the China virus in the back, in the rearview mirror here. Hopefully, God willing. Arizona, we've seen a 16-point swing toward the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So that means that right now Republicans are actually leading by 53,000 votes and counting.
That's great.
And they've been leading from the beginning of early voting. And the reason that again, context matters, Republicans never led in the early voting in 2020. So you've heard this a lot. I've seen this on message. Actually, Republicans always lead early voting. And they try and say Democrats led mail-in voting, Republicans led early voting. Well, there wasn't as much of a gap, and it kind of goes state to state. But in Arizona, definitively, Republicans never led early voting in 2020 at all. They're leading by 53,000.
Fox said they did.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
12 days before anybody else said they did. So,
that's right. And they called it with, I believe it was, we had to revise it, 0.01% of the votes.
0.01.
They were just
roughly.
They're like, watch, we're going to make this call. People are going to like us for this.
Jeff voted.
One guy, and it's over, folks. Yeah.
They got like their 2 top execs fired.
I know. It was bad.
So bad.
And it didn't even matter. Like, why would you put your your job of the life for that call? Like, what are you doing?
And here's a really messed up point. And I know that some of you are screaming at your screen right now.
I know.
Or if you're driving at your phone, eyes on the road. Arizona has now claimed that it will take them likely 10 to 13 days to tabulate results.
County leaders are asking voters for patience and to be prepared.
No.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on election day, and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results.
And by the way, of course, any interference or the steal is a figment of your imagination. Sorry, at the last election in Maricopa County, I believe it was,
Totally
you couldn't vote for about 4 hours, which if you work for a living, maybe means you can't vote. And by the way, yes, we do have more technology available to us than ever before, but it's not going to be like previous elections where we didn't have said technology and the results that night. It's going to take a week and a half to 2 weeks, which, by the way, should occur in no world if Republicans are leading the early voting, because they didn't lead last time. You'd have to believe that Democrats would show up in such huge numbers on election day that there would be no way to call it.
I don't. How can you take that long to count votes?
I just looked this up last night. Taiwan has like 10+ million voters or something like that. They counted every vote in 6 hours, and you knew the winner of the election that night.
Well, yeah, that's because they have some kids like chained to the voting. You count vote now.
You count.
I can't see ballot. It looks spoiled.
Well, maybe
spoiled.
we
No
need
spoil
some.
ballot. Count ballot. No spoil.
They're using the abacus without actually having it in front of you. Ever seen that when they do it from memory? It's like, what the heck?
They do Asian math. We count 5 minus 3.
Yes, I know.
And get 3.
Who?
Hey,
No.
no, it happened. It did.
I did it. Guilty.
No, he did that. You did the other one.
So let's go to Georgia. And this is why it's kind of interesting. Again, these things can shift, right, depending what kind of votes come in. But there is reason to feel good about this at this moment in time. Not overconfident. Georgia, we're not seeing the same kind of gap that you saw in North Carolina or Arizona, which may surprise some people. There's been a 4-point swing to Republicans. So a new poll actually did come out, which is pretty interesting. Only 28% of Georgia men support Kamala. That's kind of surprising.
Wow.
Good.
It's because she's been campaigning there a lot, Stephen. I think that's the problem.
Yes, that is the primary problem.
She won't leave.
Because there are a lot of I don't know if you know this, there are a lot of black voters in Georgia, a lot of black men in Georgia, which may be why 50% of Georgia men supported Biden. 28% not supporting Kamala. I think you're right. I think she spoke.
She's like the auntie that will never go home.
Yes, exactly. Yes. She would do better if she just said nothing.
Yes.
She just left.
Just pull the Joe Biden strategy. Go sit in a basement somewhere, see what happens. 50% of Georgia men supported Biden. He looks like he could have been a slave owner. Like he could have been alive back then. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And 50% of the people in that state.
Atlanta is heavily gay, though, to be fair.
Oh, is it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they don't like women.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does. It's adding up.
Yeah, I guess it does.
We
Joe-
dive deep here.
Yes, we do.
Because Joe had a Grindr account.
Like Anderson's at CNN.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Oh yeah.
What an erection kill that would be if you swipe right, like, hey, let me talk to you about
Come on, Jack. They were going to head CNN in San Francisco, but they couldn't because the hosts would be.
The two in the Grindr, just him with ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Swipe left. Pennsylvania. Okay, this is the most interesting one, and I know you're very passionate about this, Lane. So we have seen a 19-point swing to Republicans.
Yeah, that's huge.
Here's something that you need to know, though. And Scott Pressler's been doing great work there.
Phenomenal.
And most of what you have heard, by the way, almost is true as far as the good news. But there is some context that really matters. The good news is you can do something. Republicans there would need a huge voter turnout to win Pennsylvania. Let me be clear. There is no world that exists in which it's anything other than razor thin in Pennsylvania for Republicans to win this. And if you could help us go through some of these numbers for people who aren't number nerds out there, Lane.
6 minus 3 is 3, just to be clear.
You said they were down by 5.
Whatever.
They hit a 3.
Anyway, okay, so
don't try to fact check me.
If we're looking at the registration in Pennsylvania right now, Democrats have 3.95 million people registered. That's actually a decrease of 181,000 from the same time in 2020.
That's good for us.
That's good. We're seeing a decrease.
Okay,
and Republicans have slightly less at 3.6 million registered voters, but that is a positive trend of 156,000 more from the same point
Also
in
good for
2020.
us.
So that's good. But the raw number is still favoring Democrats.
Right. Because what was the voter turnout in 2020?
So this is another key point because Republicans actually outperformed in the turnout in 2020 as well by about 7%. I think 84% of Republican registered voters turned out to only 77% of registered Democrat voters.
Right. And that's a key fact because it does bring us to another, again, exclusive piece of analysis here from the Mug Club team. All right, we've got nerdy. So put this next point as simply as possible, Lane, for the folks out there going, give me the number here.
Right. So we saw that we've closed the gap and that but we still have a smaller raw number of registered voters.
Yeah.
Right.
So if all things remain the same and the same percentage of registered voters for both parties turn out in 2024 as compared to 2020, Republicans will win.
Right.
But only by 58,000 votes or less than 1%.
Yeah.
Which, if we know how Democrats operate and they see the number 58,000, well, they have a bunch of voters that they're leaving on the table. And I think there's plenty of methods that they might use to get them on the table.
Exactly. And that's the concern that some people have with early voting is it gives you just sort of, okay, this is what you need to close that gap. Well, I'm hoping that we see a higher, again, voter turnout because in some states it's been outpacing even registration.
So here's
this point.
kind of, some analysis that we've done. Obviously that paints a very clear picture of do not take anything for granted in Pennsylvania at all, right? Razor thin. But here's the positive news. I think baked into that, I hope there is a larger percentage of those new registered voters that are going to turn out for Republicans based on the work that Scott Presler has done. Right. So I'm hoping what we'll see is that if, let's say, he got 100,000 people signed up, the numbers are different than that. But let's say he got 100,000 people signed up to register to vote. I'm hoping we see a significantly higher than 84% number of those people actually going to vote.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're excited about it. They're getting registered. They're engaged. They're going to go vote on election day. So I hope we'll see increased turnout. But for him, he knows the work is not done just because you're able to vote. The work is done once you do vote.
Yes.
Right?
And once you confirm your vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you confirm, it's like, who voted here?
Yes.
My name's not Joe Lewis. Well, that must be an error.
So that's the thing people need to look out for, though. 77% Democrat turnout, I believe, is what we said in 2020. That's a little low. They could
overperform that in Pennsylvania. Certainly, especially when you have, Josh Shapiro, though, again, it could also be tough because it's the highest. I don't want to get too far off and speculate, but the highest, I believe, percentage of the Jewish vote in the Midwest, of any of the Midwestern states, I believe Pennsylvania, very high. And, they probably feel like they've been snubbed a little bit.
Hopefully they stay home.
Yes.
If they're going to vote Dem, stay home.
Well, hopefully they vote Republican. Because
that's what I would go with.
Yeah, there's one candidate who didn't say that.
Kind of anti-Semitic.
Yeah, Jews are committing
If
genocide.
they're going to vote for Democrats, I want them to stay home, no matter who they are, Lane.
What do you think this is? What, you're going to scare them with the angel of death, the painting lamb's blood over their doorway?
For such a time as this, Stephen.
The ends justify the means. So, and again, we're going to give you all of these data points. The references are available. Click the link in the description, louderwithcrowder.com. We're going to be continuing this as we go. Let me give you this conclusion, what it is that we are seeing. Okay. That guy on CNN, full of crap. Donald Trump's base is pretty damn similar, solid, if not slightly better when you're talking about non-college voters at this point, if you include vocational schools. That's good news. You're looking at the polling right now, better than 2020. Okay. Overall, better than 2020. All swing states, better than 2020. Okay. Then you look at the early voting. Better in Nevada than last election. Okay. Better in Arizona than last election. Good. Better in Georgia than last election. Good. Did I say Nevada? I said Arizona.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Better in Georgia, right? All those are better. And by the way, contextually, better in Pennsylvania. However, in Pennsylvania, that may not be enough. And it certainly won't be enough if you think that this is a walk-off. So all good news, I would just say all good news across the board. It's all good news. And the problem or the wrinkle that we are facing is one over which you can have a direct impact. And I'm not just saying vote. I'm talking about any of you have a platform. If it's social media, if you have a YouTube channel, if you have a podcast, if you have friends, if you have a social group, if you want to go out and volunteer to be a poll watcher, you want to go, it's not too late to do something about those 58,000 votes, right? If that's what we're talking about. And again, this is somewhat hypothetical, but it still is going to be very close. But you can have an impact on that right now with the knowledge that you have. Everything is looking better than before. Contextually, that's great everywhere, except contextually in Pennsylvania, you still do have some work to do.
Yeah.
It's not the home stretch. It is a sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not let up at all. Get people to go vote too. If you've got friends that you know that are registered to vote, make sure check in with each other.
Yes.
Buddy system. Sometimes people just are very, very busy in their life. I get it. You can be like, oh, they shouldn't be. They are, right?
Yeah.
Got a lot on their plate. Be like, hey, I'm going to vote today at lunch. Do you want to go with me?
Mm-hmm.
Makes it really simple. Do your part in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, places like that. We can win this election and never have to talk about Kamala Harris again.
And this isn't to say, like you said, that people like Scott Presler aren't doing a great job.
It's unbelievable
This
work.
is only possible because of the work that people like him have done.
Yes.
We are just trying to help build upon what he's done using our platform and what we do.
Yes, exactly. And saying that, look, it doesn't pay to be unrealistic.
No.
At this point, you have to look at those numbers. It's going to be close in Pennsylvania. It is going to be close. But still, there's a lot you can do, and the numbers look good at this point in time. And by the way, you can expect not only this, but a whole lot more on election night. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to have space in this office because we are going to have the live electoral integrity map, again, based on the data and the analysis that we exclusively have available here, where you will actually be able to see states, see progress, see disputes. If the media calls it with just getting an update, Fox News called Arizona with actually, it looks 0.0002%. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah,
it was just the only vote was a leg.
Shit, they just fired Hannity.
Yes, exactly.
Again.
Yeah.
Now somewhere like, what happened? Why is Jesse Waters out there on 46 with a tin cup? So we are going to be able to call states. We're going to have cross streams. We are going to have boots on the ground, investigative journalists. So along with the data, the ability to get some people there so that nothing happens without us being able to shine a light on it. None of it happens without you. It's been a huge undertaking. Consider joining Mug Club. Annual, it's $89 a year. You get this, you get the Friday show, you get Nick DePaul, you get everything else that comes with Mug Club. And it's the only way this happens. No funding from a foreign caliphate. Or go mugless for $9 a month between now and election. That helps too. I know that you have $9 a month. We do not have a Patreon, though Gerald does have an OnlyFans. And the issue here is that the media, don't worry, it's like it's a PG OnlyFans. It's really weird. It's just him watching Disney movies. The media is lying again. We can make that claim, but everyone does from time to time. Even Press Secretary Nick DiPaolo knows that.
Are you saying that the President of the United States has never lied to the public before?
Never lied in a follow-up?
Are you saying that the President of the United States has never lied to the public before?
Translator?
Shiri Skala,